Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today we've got another Doraemon game, but this one is Doraemon Kart. So I'm a Mario Kart, but with Doraemon, if I'm even saying it right. Again, as you can tell, more of a Japanese. It's a Japanese IP, obviously. I don't think it's ever came over to the U.S. Maybe recently or whatnot, as things do, but I don't think that the game progressed past Japan. Lots of story. I'm guessing the cat is Doraemon? I would imagine. Japan's Felix or Garfield. More Felix than Garfield. Good Lord, there is a lot of talking in a racing game. Oof. Already, yeah, no. Why are we not going? Yeah, this is not... Racing games on Game Boy were, so far, have just really been disappointing. This looks still better than some, but I mean, this is just... I mean, again, picture this on a very small screen in more greens than browns. And then they once the computer gets on the screen, it just gets so much worse. I'm really curious as to the... Oh, so bad. As to when this came out, before or after Mario Kart. Like, I want to feel like this might be a prior to Mario Kart game. And Mario Kart kind of took a cue from this. I could be horribly wrong. Like I said, I don't look up any of this stuff prior to playing, so that we go into this completely blind. I'm first. After that horrible start, I'm actually in first place, which is absolutely insane. By what looks like a pretty good margin. How we won that, I couldn't say, but we won. I mean, it's a racing game. Definitely, yeah, I think you really have to be really into this or really bored to really want to play this. Again, I think it's more, again, akin towards the younger audience, where they don't mind so much and they're just having a good time on Game Boy and they're just playing. And I can see that, but again, after 10, 11 years old, I don't see this game really taking in, like, a lot of people enjoying it in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't perform very well. Graphically, it's very off-putting. As soon as you get more enemies in there, like, it just starts kind of being very clustered. And again, picturing it on a very small green screen, I don't see it being a very enjoyable game at all. It does lend itself more towards the fact that like I was saying before, definitely a sort of IP for the young kids, and nothing wrong with that. But it's just not a game that most people are going to want to play. And like I said, I am curious if this was before or after Mario Kart, because you can tell there is a lot of Mario Kart-esque stuff going on here. Minus the fact that it's very, very Gameboy. So, it's very generic, very little that can be done. There's a lot of story in there, apparently. So much talking for a racing game. But hey, it is what it is, right? So all in all, the game's playable. There's nothing really wrong with it, other than the fact that it would be pretty awful, I feel like, on Game Boy on a small screen. It is very lackluster in a lot of stuff, but you can't expect anything on a racing game for Game Boy. Like, I would have preferred more of a top-down view instead of a rear view would have been so much better, I feel like. But, I mean, there's only so much you can do, so given the limitations of Game Boy and the small section, I think that it probably was the right choice to put the camera in the rear rather than top-down, because I think once you get top-down, you're going to be clustered, and it's going to be such a smaller section to see than it would be here. So all in all, I think they worked well with what they had. I don't feel like racing games should have been really bothered on Game Boy, because it just does not have the capacity. As we can see, we have not seen one racer that actually has shown any kind of promise or decency of being enjoyable because of the limitations of what we had going on. So it's playable, yes, definitely for the younger crowd, as all these Doraemon games are. Definitely not for an older audience or anything. Very hard to keep anybody's attention if you're older than like 10 years old, I feel like. So all in all, the game is there. They used what they had. It's not terrible. We played worse racing games, that's for sure. So all things considered, it is actually a much better racing game than like the Days of Thunder. I think that was the really terrible one, and some of the other ones. So honestly, not terrible, but just not good. And on Game Boy, I could have feel like it was going to be pretty awful. So with that being said, guys, thanks so much for joining. Until next time, you guys have a good one.